The lobby of Haldon & Co. shimmered with polished marble and towering glass panes, each reflecting the glimmer of wealth, excellence, and a kind of cold prestige the employees often whispered about. At the center of it all stood the CEO, Charlotte Haldon. 37 years old, sharp-cheeked, blonde hair tightly wrapped into a bun, heels clicking like a metronome of authority. Those who worked under her rarely made eye contact. She didn't encourage it. Charlotte believed she was everything her father dreamed she would become, unyielding, brilliant, and untouchable. She believed she'd earned every inch of her success. She had the degrees, the internships, the awards, the polished speeches. But most of all, she had the Haldon name. That morning, cameras were set, journalists were already whispering excitedly, and her employees were perfectly positioned along the sides of the lobby. Today was supposed to be historic. She was about to close the largest private investment deal in the company's history, a $300 million infusion into Haldon & Co., a partnership that would push the company into the top 3 logistics corporations in the country. But there was a twist she hadn't anticipated. Her assistant rushed toward her, whispering nervously, "Ma'am, the investor has arrived." Charlotte smoothed her white blazer, lifted her chin, and nodded toward the security doors. A moment later, the cameras began to click. An elderly man stepped through the entrance, not tall, not imposing, but with a quiet dignity that wrapped around him like a heavy coat. His skin was deep brown, wrinkled with age, carrying stories and years that couldn't be bought or taught. His hair was silver but thick, his walking stick polished but old. His suit wasn't flashy, it wasn't even particularly modern, but it was clean, perfectly pressed, and worn with pride. He walked slowly, steadily, as though he owned every room he entered. "Mr. Langston," someone whispered, and Charlotte's expression froze. Isaac Langston. A name she recognized, but not a face she expected. She had assumed, incorrectly, that the investor was a firm, not a single man. She certainly hadn't expected him to be black, or elderly, or walking in with no entourage, no assistant, no financial advisor trailing behind him. He approached her, his eyes warm despite the stiffness in her posture. "So," he said softly, holding out his hand, "you must be Charlotte Haldon. Your father spoke very highly of you." The cameras zoomed in. Employees leaned forward. Everyone watched the same moment unfold. Charlotte looked at his hand. A black hand. Old. Weathered. And she did not raise hers. Instead, she took a half step back, subtle, but unmistakable. "Oh," she said with a tight smile, "I don't usually shake hands during flu season." It was summer. Hot. Air conditioners humming. No flu anywhere. The journalist's eyes narrowed. Isaac's hand remained suspended for a heartbeat longer. Then, gently, he lowered it. Not angry, not embarrassed, just disappointed in a way Charlotte didn't understand and didn't care to. "Of course," he said quietly, "we must always protect ourselves." Her assistant tried to gesture for the photographers to stop, but it was too late. The shutters had captured it, the refusal, the expression on her face, the look in his eyes. Isaac Langston followed her to the boardroom, without another word. The meeting went smoothly enough. Numbers were agreed upon, strategies reviewed, contracts prepared. Isaac barely spoke except when necessary. His eyes, however, took in everything: the pride, the arrogance, the entitlement she didn't bother hiding. When it was done, Charlotte stood and smoothed her blazer. "Thank you, Mr. Langston. My team will have the final documents ready by tomorrow." He nodded politely, tapped his walking stick twice on the floor, and left the building without once looking back at her. To Charlotte, the day was a triumph. She didn't know that the moment she refused his hand was already spreading across the internet. Someone in the lobby had captured it. Someone else had posted it. Within hours, it was circulating on every platform, millions of views, millions of comments. But Charlotte didn't check social media that evening. She was too busy celebrating. It wasn't until the next morning, when she walked into her office, that she realized something was very, very wrong. Her entire staff stared at her as she entered, the silence thick, suffocating. Her assistant trembled as she approached her desk. "Ma'am, there's something you need to see." "What is it now?" Charlotte muttered, annoyed. Her assistant handed her a tablet. The video appeared instantly, her refusal to shake Isaac Langston's hand. The comments were brutal. "Racist witch. She's exactly why black investors hesitate to partner with old money firms." She pulled her hand back. "Wow. Isaac Langston is a legend, and she treated him like that." Charlotte felt heat rising in her chest. She scrolled. Another post popped up, an article titled, "The White CEO Who Refused to Shake a Black Legend's Hand." Charlotte's voice grew tight. "Who is he? Why is this?" Her assistant blinked. "Ma'am, Isaac Langston is one of the most respected private investors in the country. He built his first company out of a trailer. He's funded over 60 minority-owned businesses. "I don't care," Charlotte snapped. "He needs our company more than we need him." Her assistant swallowed. "Actually, he's already rescinded the investment." Charlotte froze. "What?" "He pulled out this morning." Charlotte's heartbeat slammed in her ears. "No," she whispered. "He can't. The board expects that money. The expansion depends on it, the shareholders." But the assistant shook her head with quiet certainty. "He already sent the letter, and he's granted interviews. He didn't insult you. He didn't accuse you. He simply said," she swallowed again, "he said he does not invest in leadership that lacks compassion." The world seemed to tilt sideways. Charlotte's legs weakened. The cameras had captured everything. And now she was the villain, the privileged, cold CEO who humiliated an old black investor in front of the world. Her assistant whispered as gently as possible, "The board wants you in the conference room immediately. They're furious." Her phone buzzed nonstop, emails from executives, messages from shareholders, statements from journalists requesting comment. Charlotte inhaled sharply. "Get the car ready," she said. "We're going to him." "Ma'am, I'm fixing this today." And so, for the first time in her career, for the first time in her carefully crafted, flawlessly insulated rise to the top, Charlotte Halden went to beg. She just didn't realize yet. She wasn't ready for the truth she was about to learn, or the secrets Isaac Langston had been keeping. Charlotte had never driven through this part of the city. Her driver kept glancing at her through the rearview mirror as if waiting for her to tell him to turn back. Tall glass towers and polished sidewalks gave way to older brick buildings, small parks, and narrow streets lined with local shops. Everything seemed slower here, kinder, balanced. A world she had never bothered to see. "Here?" the driver asked uncertainly, as they stopped in front of an old 3-story building with ivy crawling up its walls. Charlotte snapped, "Yes, of course here, just wait." She stepped out of the car, adjusting her white blazer as if she could somehow armor herself with it. She expected security guards, maybe a secretary or two. Instead, a young boy, maybe 12, held the front door open for her, offering a polite smile. "He's upstairs, ma'am, 3rd floor." She blinked. "Who are you?" "His grandson," the boy replied, unfazed. "He's expecting you." Her heart skipped. He was expecting her. How? Charlotte followed the worn wooden steps, her heels echoing loudly. When she reached the landing, she saw his door slightly open, and his voice drifting out, steady, calm, speaking to someone on the phone. "No, Sarah, I don't regret the decision. Money means nothing if the wrong hands hold it." Charlotte's cheeks flushed. The words landed like stones. He paused. "Yes, she's here." He knew. He hung up the phone and looked toward the door. "Miss Halden, please come in." Her spine tightened. Everything about the room was simple: handmade shelves, plants in mismatched pots, framed photographs of children, workers, families. Not a single trophy, not a single award. Just people. Isaac Langston sat in a cushioned armchair by the window, his walking stick leaning beside him. He looked tired but peaceful, older but unbroken. She cleared her throat. "Mr. Langston, I think we got off on the wrong foot yesterday." He raised an eyebrow. "Is that what you think happened?" Charlotte pressed on, ignoring the sting. "The board is upset. The investors are confused. Your decision has, well, it's created complications. But I want to assure you personally that my refusal to shake your hand was not racial," he finished quietly. Her breath caught. I didn't say that." Isaac Langston folded his hands in his lap. "No," he said, "but the world did." She swallowed. "Sir, I came here to apologize. The cameras, the misunderstanding." He leaned forward slightly. "Miss Halden, do you know how many hands I've had refused in my lifetime?" Her mouth opened, but no words came. "Too many," he answered for her, "but I am not here to collect apologies." She forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Well, I am here to give one, and to ask you to reconsider the investment. We can put out a joint statement that clarifies everything. Our PR team is—" He lifted a finger, silencing her with a gentleness that shook her. "Child," he said softly, "you do not need a press release. You need to understand the truth." She stiffened. "And what truth is that?" Isaac looked at her the way a grandfather might look at a stubborn child. "You don't value people. You don't see beyond yourself." Charlotte bristled. "That is not true. I built my company." "No," he said calmly. "You inherited it, and with it came power you do not yet understand." Her vision blurred with anger. "Sir, you don't even know me." But he did not flinch. "Oh, I know you more than you think." Something strange flickered in his eyes, something she couldn't read. He reached for a photo on the small table beside him and handed it to her. Her heart thudded. It was her father. Younger, smiling, standing beside Isaac. Her head snapped up. "What is this?" "Your father and I were business partners," Isaac said gently, "long before the Halden Empire was built." "That's impossible," she whispered. "He never told you," Isaac continued. "But when Halden & Co. was nothing but a borrowed office and 2 empty desks, your father knocked on my door. Not for money, for mentorship, for guidance, for help." Charlotte stared at the photo as her world reshaped itself. No, her father had built everything alone. Hadn't he? "He said to me," Isaac continued, "if I ever make it big, I'll teach my children the same values you taught me. But people forget. Success makes them forget." Charlotte's hands trembled around the photo. "My father would have wanted this partnership," she said desperately. "Please, Mr. Langston, I can make this right." He smiled softly but sadly. "I know you came to beg, Miss Halden, and that is why I allowed you in." Her cheeks burned with humiliation and fury. "But I didn't bring you here to embarrass you," he added. "I brought you here because I owe it to your father to give you something before I walk away." He motioned for his grandson, who handed her a small carved wooden box. "What is this?" she asked. "Your father's final letter to you." The room tilted. "My father left me a letter. Why didn't I know?" "Because he gave it to me," Isaac said. "He told me to give it to you only when you had lost your way." Charlotte's lips trembled. "Lost my way?" "Yes," he said softly, "today you have." She stared at the sealed envelope inside the box, her throat constricting. "Read it," he said. But she didn't. She couldn't. Not yet. She closed the box with shaking fingers. "So what now?" she whispered. "You walk away, you let my company fall apart, you let me become the villain of the world." He looked at her evenly. "The world didn't make you a villain," he said. "Your choices did." Her breath faltered. "But no," he continued. "I'm not walking away forever. You will have one more chance." Her eyes widened. "Under one condition." "What condition?" she asked, desperate. Isaac leaned back, his eyes steady, unblinking. "You will meet me tomorrow," he said, "but not as a CEO." She frowned. "What does that mean?" He tapped the table beside him. On it lay a volunteer badge from a community shelter. "You will come as a human being," he said. "I want you to spend one day with the people your father fought for, the people I invest in, the people whose hands I shake every day, flu season or not." Charlotte's stomach twisted. "A shelter, sir?" He nodded slowly. "If you learn something there, if you come back humbled, aware, ready to lead with heart instead of ego, then we will talk." "And if I do," she whispered. He met her eyes. "Then you will lose everything." Outside, her driver waited. Inside, Charlotte Halden realized for the first time in her life. She wasn't in control. And tomorrow would be the hardest day she had ever lived. Charlotte barely slept that night. The letter from her father sat on her desk like a stone, heavy, threatening, waiting. She couldn't bring herself to open it. Not yet. Something inside her feared what it might say, or worse, what it might reveal about the person she had become. At exactly 8 a.m., she arrived at the address Isaac had written on the volunteer badge. It was nothing like the polished marble lobby she ruled over. The building was old, modest, painted in colors that had faded under sun and rain. A hand-painted sign read, "Unity Community Shelter." A line of people stretched down the block. Men, women, elderly, young, some clutching bags, others with nothing at all. Their faces were tired, but when they saw the workers inside, their eyes softened with relief. Charlotte hesitated at the entrance. Her instinct was to turn back, to make an excuse, to pretend this wasn't necessary. But she remembered Isaac's words. "You will lose everything." So she stepped inside. The moment she did, the noise washed over her, children laughing in one room, volunteers discussing supply shortages, pots clanging in the kitchen, someone coughing harshly in the hallway. A woman with kind eyes and a messy braid approached her. "You must be the new volunteer Mr. Langston mentioned." Charlotte blinked, he told them. Yes, I'm Charlotte." "Welcome, I'm Danny. Today we're serving lunch, sorting donations, and helping with intake. Don't worry, we'll guide you. Grab an apron." Charlotte stared at the offered apron as if it were some foreign object. She had never worn one in her life. But she put it on. The first task seemed simple enough: help serve food. Yet Charlotte fumbled with the ladle, dropped a spoon, spilled broth on the counter, earning a raised eyebrow from a volunteer half her age. But no one laughed. No one rolled their eyes. They just showed her patiently how to do it right. An older woman with trembling hands approached the counter. "Ma'am," she said softly, "could you please give me a little extra? My son hasn't eaten since yesterday." Her voice cracked. Charlotte froze. The woman looked exactly like countless people she had passed on the street without a glance, people she had dismissed as lazy, irresponsible, not her problem. But now she saw the truth in her eyes: exhaustion, love, desperation. Without thinking, Charlotte filled the container to the brim. "Thank you," the woman whispered. "Bless you." Charlotte stepped aside for a moment, pretending to adjust her apron, but really she was trying to steady her breathing. She moved to the donation sorting room next. Bags of old clothes, toys, shoes, toiletries. Some items were stained or broken, things people had thrown in without care. "People donate trash sometimes," Danny sighed, gently removing unusable items. "But we work with what we have." Charlotte sorted silently. At one point she picked up a tiny rainbow-colored backpack, not new, not fancy, but clean, with a small zipper shaped like a star. Inside was a folded note. "For another little dreamer, L." Something inside her cracked. A boy walked in then, the same boy who had opened Isaac's door yesterday. His face lit up when he saw the backpack. "Oh, someone will love that." Charlotte blinked. "You volunteer here too?" "Every weekend," he said proudly. "Grandpa says helping others is the best kind of work." She felt heat rise in her chest. "Is your grandfather here?" she asked. "He's in the back garden, talking to the construction team." "Construction?" The boy explained. "He's building a tech learning room here. Computers, tablets, classes. He says everyone deserves a chance." Charlotte swallowed hard. She knew how expensive such a project would be. "He chose this instead of investing in me," she realized. And unlike her company, this place felt full of hope. After lunch, she was helping a teenage girl fill out an intake form when the girl paused and whispered, "Miss, your hands are shaking. Are you okay?" Charlotte stared at her trembling fingers. I don't know." The truth was unraveling inside her like a frayed thread. The girl gave a small smile. "It gets easier. First day's always scary." Charlotte almost laughed or cried. She didn't know which. Hours passed. The work was exhausting, humbling, unfamiliar. By late afternoon, sweat clung to her temples, her feet ached, and her pristine white blazer now had a stain she didn't even try to wipe away. But for the first time in years, she felt real. She felt human. When the last of the guests had eaten and the final boxes were sorted, she sat on a bench outside the shelter, rubbing her hands. She expected Isaac to appear out of nowhere, but he didn't. Instead, something made her reach into her bag. The wooden box. The letter inside. With trembling fingers, she broke the seal and unfolded the paper. Her father's handwriting. "My dearest Charlotte, if you are reading this, it means Isaac has decided you are ready to hear what I never managed to teach you. I built our company with him, but more importantly, I built it because of the people he showed me, people who worked hard, survived injustice, deserved better. He taught me to value every life, every hand, every story. I fear the world you inherited from me is colder than the one I wanted for you. You are brilliant, my girl, but brilliance without empathy becomes cruelty. Power without humanity becomes destruction. If you have forgotten this, Isaac will remind you. And if you let him, he will save you from becoming the kind of leader I prayed you would never be. Love, Dad." Charlotte pressed the letter to her chest, tears slipping silently down her face. She didn't know Isaac had approached until his shadow fell across her. "You read it," he said gently. She looked up, her eyes red. "Why didn't he give it to me himself?" "Because parents hope their children will learn without needing a warning." She wiped her cheeks. "I was awful to you." "Yes," he said simply, "but you can choose not to be awful anymore." She took a shaky breath. "I don't want to be who I was yesterday." "Then don't be." Silence settled between them, not heavy but healing. After a moment he said, "Tell me what you learned today." She met his eyes. "That I've been blind and selfish and small, that I judge people I don't know, that I care more about image than impact, that my father was right, and that you," her voice broke, "you shake every hand because every person matters." Isaac nodded once. "Then our conversation can begin." She gasped softly, "Does that mean?" "It means," he said, "you have the chance to earn my investment, not by apologizing to the world, but by changing." She exhaled a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. "But before we talk business," Isaac added with a small smile, "I want you to shake my hand." She froze. His hand, old and wrinkled, reached toward her again. The world slowed. All her pride, all her walls, all her excuses gone. Charlotte stepped forward, and with both hands she held his. Not 1 second of hesitation. His palm was warm, strong, real. and she felt something shift inside her that she knew would never shift back. The next day, the headlines changed. CEO Charlotte Halden spends a day serving at community shelter. Every hand matters, she says. A week later, Halden and Co. partners with Langston Foundation to build innovation centers nationwide. And a month later, the woman who changed after saying no and became the leader everyone needed. But the most important headline was the one she never saw, printed only in Isaac's heart. She learned, she grew, she remembered. The business deal happened, but the real investment was in the person she became.